on that direction, where platform models in the region. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Thank you very much. I think that's a very, very important response point as we move forward. Professor Stephen, your research is really on ecological restoration, sustainable management. Again, since it's AI we're talking about, we really want to understand the...
And also ecological data and the likely implication. Then I think that's an area where we can also use the artificial intelligence. Additionally, also we could use it for... We could use it also for identifying pollution hotspot, for example, along the river. And then in that context, it means we would easily have targeted interventions, and then it would also help us plan the application of resources optimally. I think that's what I can say for now. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Yeah, I see real-time data. That's very important. AI being used as a technology to provide real-time data for decision-making, but particularly in the area of species identification, but also the fact that there's a lot of mining happening and that's affecting urbanization, and AI can actually be utilized in that area. So thank you for your response. Still in the line of agriculture, we're going to Professor Firubu. Your work around food security, safety, traceability, that's a very important aspect, especially in the fact that Africa really relies on agriculture. So where do you think, or how do you think AI can play a role in trying to improve Africa's agricultural value chains?
Thank you. I'll give an example from my own work. Palm oil is quite big in my country, Ghana. And so I have this student who worked on traceability system of palm oil, where we looked at all the players in the value chain, from farmer all the way to the processor. What we sought to do was to design an app. And in this app, a farmer could enter his details. A processor would also enter his details. I mean, harvesting time, date of harvesting, and all the necessary details. And a processor would also enter their details where they get the palm oil from. After all this, then we generated a QR code. And all this, we used that to develop an app which was then deployed on a phone, so that a farmer or anybody in the value chain could then enter their details and access. If you needed to sell your palm oil, your palm fruit, all you did was just enter and say, I have so much palm fruit, anybody, and then they will go and buy it. Same way, if you are a processor and you have palm oil, and say, well, I have so much palm oil, and then somebody will go and buy it. So what happens is that we've developed this app that it facilitates buying and selling of palm fruits and the palm oil. That's what I'll say for now.
Right, thank you very much. I think that is key, right? With farmers having produce and having no market, and if you can use technology to leverage these two pathways, I think that's very critical for us in agriculture. So we're now going to move to health, to you, Dr. Shadrach, right? Yeah, so your research group applies computational biophysics to drug discovery, and that's key for us as a continent. So how do you see AI accelerating molecular modeling, compound screening, drug discovery in African laboratories? And I know from all the different things that we've talked about, we keep saying that we have limited resources. And I believe, and I know because of the work we do in AI, that this really requires high performance computing, but we have limited resources, but you're doing the work. So we want to hear from you. How do you do this? How is it able to work, for your research?
Thanks a lot. First of all, I'm here on behalf of Professor Hulda Swai, who is our Tambo chair at the Nelson Mandela African Institution of Science and Technology in Arusha, Tanzania. And the our Tambo chair at NMIST focuses on drug discovery and development by leveraging two technologies which are really emerging, using nanotechnology to enhance drugs that has pitfalls like toxicity, solubility, and bring them again to the market. And the other technology that we use, that's what we focus on, computational biophysics, that focus on the utility and application of various computational methods that includes also the machine learning or artificial intelligence. So now we have been also witnessing the rise of malaria. The chair at Nelson Mandela focuses on discovery and development of anti-malaria compounds. And now we have been witnessing the rise of resistance of the current regimes that are used for the treatment of malaria. So we see, and we are also using AI to help fast track the discovery and the development of new anti-malaria compounds, be synthetic or be natural compound. So AI in generally can help to screen millions of compounds in a shorter time. So this is to mean that it can use the time required for a molecule to be developed. Instead of spending 4 years to develop a single molecule, we can spend like a week to a few months, and we have a proposal of a good candidate molecule. And this reduces also the cost that is associated with drug development along the pipeline. And this brings also an opportunity to fast track and prioritize molecules that are highly safe and reducing the chances of drug failure. We have been witnessing some molecules that once they approved, after going to the market, they are removed because of other undesirable property, toxicity, and the other like. So by the user of this method, includes artificial intelligence, can help to pre-screen and eliminate all these molecules that would cause undesirable properties once they go to the market. And in the limited resources in our continent, collaboration is the key to address. So you asked what we do. We have an HPC, for example, at Nelson Mandela, but it's not sufficient because we have now a big number of people who want to use it. But because of collaboration and sharing, it has become possible to leverage these high computational resources. So we collaborate with people, for example, in South Africa, we have there's Elengau, the HPC facility that accommodates many scientists across the continent. So this has been possible where people joining together, you have a common project and you work together, and this helps. And when you have students, you bring them into the group and they access the resources. So through collaboration, this has made to be possible and fast track this development. And AI now is emerging to help again in the development and the discovery of medicine. For example, we have emerging technology like AlphaFold. Before, if you want to develop a medicine, normally we need to know the disease. Maybe we have molecular targets. So nowadays we can start with AI that using like technology like AlphaFold, so you can know the protein that we're going to target, and you can screen millions of compounds in a few days, and you have a proposed compound that you can carry further into preclinical studies. So this helps us now to move forward and quickly. Thank you for now.
Thank you very much. I like that you're starting to use technologies like AlphaFold in your work, and that's really why I think these models are built but also made open source, right, for researchers like us to be able to use them for our work. Maybe allow me to indulge you for one more question before I move to my panelists again.
Yes.
I know that you recently founded iPhotos, which is advancing enlarged prostate treatment formula, and it's going through several clinical studies. So maybe you could help us and my audience to know what 2 lessons have you learned about translating the work that you do in the university and making it out there so it can become market ready, but also trying to navigate Africa's regulatory and funding landscape. We'd be happy to hear from you on that.
Thanks a lot. Yes, a few years I founded iPhytos, which is a biotech company, and now has already translated part of the researches we've been doing to the market. And now we have developed a formula for the treatment of enlarged prostate, or BPH. So now in Tanzania is in the market and also distributed to various government hospitals and also in private hospitals. So 2 key lessons that I learned is that science alone by itself, when we want to transition from research, crossing what has been, yesterday or day before yesterday, the minister was talking about the black box. So closing the black box now needs something in between. So needs the mind change, the mindset change. That is one thing, but also understanding that the science alone would not be enough. There is issue about regulatory readiness, that when you want to transition, you need to onboard in the mind from the day one. And the other thing that I learned is that funding in our context to some extent is still fragmented, and it follows purpose and trust, not data ownery. So it's not the issue that we generate a number of data. We have a lot of information and then we need money. You don't get it. So it needs trust, it needs purpose. So if to get funding, these things, the purpose and the trust need to be bestowed. Now, what we learned, if we are to summarize, is that we need to bring solutions that are really demanded in our context, in this absence of funding and in the funding challenging regime. So if we bring the solution that the community demand, we can start generating funding that could support further development in the process. And this is what we started doing at the company. We started with zero funding, but we dedicated in bringing a solution that is going to solve the problem within our context. It might be needed somewhere else, but we need to first solve the problem that is surrounding us. And because it is needed, and through solving that problem, we can have some funding and keep on learning and learning and learning. And about the regulatory, I said about regulatory readiness is that it is not just the regulatory bodies. There's a lot of things, again, you need to import in when you transition to go to a biotech company or to market an idea, to a product, to a market. There's a lot of processes, there's a lot of compliances. So all these need to be onboarded from when you start transitioning about this. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for those responses. A problem. Yeah, let's work on something that the community needs. Yeah, and then we'll get support for it. So back to you, Dr. Mesan. Again, thank you so much for that provocation. So I'm going to build on that. In your work, where you're leading research coordination, evidence policy making, what are the key reforms that you think we need for African governments to enhance AI at the national development?
Okay, thank you very much, Joyce. Quite a number of some of these proposals have been made, but let me begin from what is happening back home. Back home in Ghana, we have seen that over the last, within the very first quarter, the government, the parliament is looking at something on AI themselves, where there's an intensive training, even at the level of the executives, even religious bodies. And so I pause to ask, if we are not very careful, we'll be repeating that very same mistakes And so the need for us to look at our AI frameworks very well, which the AI ethical frameworks that we talk about over here, quite cohesive, so that we use that as a tool to be able to coordinate the initiative that we are looking at. The investment in open and inclusive data ecosystem that we've also talked about is one of the things. Now, earlier this year, within the platforms of the Science Granting Councils, which we enabled through the Global Research Council initiative, the GRC is a virtual organization of funders of research within Africa that constitutes. So earlier this year, we were in Riyadh, and one of the key things that we were looking at as a core team for the conference is research management in the era of artificial intelligence. And just to use this opportunity to make it that we've developed what we call a statement of principle on that, which is quite easily available on the GRC platform, about how the need for the regional blocks to be able to contextualize the encrypt AI frameworks, and also to look at the investment in open science and also data management ecosystem, creating what we call partnerships that will be able to position us as a country, so that will not be siloed. We will be able to make very good and maximum use of how we can be able to build our systems to enable AI, so that it will help us to be able to transform. And so this is what I want to say. Thank you.
Kind of help us understand how AI can be used in their diverse fields. I think that's really important. So maybe I'll open it up for the audience if you have some questions we want to ask them. And please direct it to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But we learned about numbers yesterday. Yes. Any question? 2 questions. I'm told. Okay, I see a hand here. There's a lady and a hand behind. Yes, we'll take those 2 questions. And then, the mic. Perfect, it's coming, just a second. Get down again. I think we'll start with the lady. She's right here. Whoever is moving the mic, over here, and then we'll go to the gentleman at the back. There, she's right there. Thank you. Okay.
Hello, Adam, Ibrahim. Thank you so much for sharing the insight. Yes, my question is about the pharmaceutical industry and how we can actually, if you could give us some ideas that you have on how we can start considering translating some of your work globally. So have you maybe thought of in-licensing your early work from a drug discovery point of view? And I say this intentionally because I know that the African patient data is full of rich insights. And I'm sure you've seen it too. And it's going to be a valuable product, if you like, for Western markets that don't have the genetic makeups that we do. So have you thought about a partnership with international companies in that way?
Okay, I answer. Okay, thanks. Now we are in a process of expanding, going outside Tanzania. We hope maybe by next year, toward maybe the mid or the end, we will be in the East and Western Africa, and Ghana and Nigeria. We hope. We started doing collaborations about partnership and distribution of the medicine. So we hope it will cover the African continent in a short while. We hope to reach there soon. Thank you.
Right. Yeah, one question.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I'm sorry this has been addressed in another forum, but my question is, how far does the Africa Union or the regional blocks, the ECOWAS, the East African Community have gone with drafting at least standard guidelines for Africa regarding AI? This goes to Professor Saalia, but also to Dr. Adama. What I'm seeing is when we end up creating a lot of frameworks between countries or even universities. I'm from agriculture. I know with the trade and phytosanitary issues, so many non-tariff barriers that are artificially created. So how are we going to address this issue among Africans so that we do not create the barriers, but also learn from the mistake of those who have been already ahead, like Professor Saalia said? Thank you so much.
Yes, I think we can get responses. Professor Saalia or you, Dr. Mensa, I think, because it's around policy from the AA perspective.
Thank you very much. Let me just answer that particular question from what we have realized as a granting council going forward. Now, just about a month ago in Accra, the Science Granting Council was about 10 years. We look at the reflection of what we have done over the past and how we could be able to look at especially the policy angle in trying to link it with some of the global platform, AU Agenda 2063, as we do the System 2034 as of now. So in September, we form more or less like a task force where the heads of research councils come to meet to look at how the research funding reflects into policy networks or commitment that has been made at the level of the AU itself and also at the level of government, so that we'll be able to drive government intervention in making funding more available, including AI. And so we engage the task force for the drafting of the System 2034 and also the team that's looking at the APES body. The good thing is that on the basis of that particular engagement, some issues that has to do with AI-enabled ecosystem, especially from the perspective of the private sector, which is quite happen to be a gap, was taken on board. And the agency has become more or less a platform or an influence to be able to shape how the EU agenda will be implemented. Back in Accra in September, again, we've come out with a communique on how we envisage that this will help the AU Commission to be able to help our African SFCs, especially to be able to invest into research, looking at the AI ethical challenges within our continent. And so the quest for engagement, the intentionality on the parts of blocks, including as we are here, vice chancellors, research community, and quite a number of the things that we are doing, coming to a realization that there's the need to engage this global body of force. What they do is going to champion or going to impact effectively on how we'll be able to drive AI going forward, so that it will not be something that is within their remit at the top, but also how it transcends down grassroots, as we've mentioned, so that collectively will not create inequality, even as we want to tap or to be able to take the full benefits and maximize the opportunities that's available to us through AI transformation within our country. So these are some of the things that we're doing, and how we envisage that collectively we can also emulate some of those things, so that we can be able to engage our national bodies that matter, including governments, on how we can be able to drive this agenda together. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We have just one final, very short question, and we'll close the panel.
Thank you, Hisham Group from Morocco. Thank you, professors, for your insights. I have a direct question for Professor from Tanzania. You mentioned that you developed formulas and drugs using AI and computing. I'd like to know what is the regulatory process when it comes to protecting your discoveries before you commercialize them. And the second part of my question, please, about the regulatory process in the process of validation before you put them in the market. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for the good question. Yes, we have the regulatory framework in Tanzania. So we have, of course, for example, two regulatory authorities when it comes to the medicine. We have the Tanzania Medicine and Medical Device Authority. There's the overall umbrella for regulating and overseeing drug development. And we have also the body that manages and count for research. It's called NIMRI, the National Institute for Medical Research, that focuses on the preclinical and clinical studies, regulate, and the TMDA would focus on the regulatory legislation, the medicine. But also we have another regulatory framework that is the traditional medicine, if it comes for traditional medicine framework that controls all over the traditional medicine and all herbal medicine in the country. So all these, they have different guidelines that to be followed for anyone who do the research, and if we want to register medicine, you want to commercialize, you want to take, so there are procedures that you need to be followed from one step to the next, to the next, to the next. So once you finish there, that you get an approval, you go to the next, you go to the next, you go to the next until you finish. The second question was, I forgot it. Yes? Can you remind it again? About intellectual properties. Yeah, we have also, so at different institutions, so we have the general regulatory, so we have the intellectual property that governs the nation, but also we have institutional-wise intellectual property rights that are to be followed. So for example, if the research is from the university, so the university has policies that guides about IPs, and also they can help to do protections. And when you take it to the market, or if the institution, let's say the university, has been supporting, then you will have some, the dividends or share about it. But we have IP frameworks and policies that guide about research and commercialization. That, of course, they might differ from one institution to another institution, but we have the overall national also policy framework for intellectual property rights. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. I think that concludes our panel. Unfortunately, we've run out of time, but I really want to appreciate you for being part of the Arua conference and giving us all those very useful insights on how AI can be applied for transformational development at different areas on the African continent. So again, thank you very much. Let's thank our panel.
Thank you so much, Sir Joyce, for moderating the panel just held. And now they're taking a photo moment. Thank you so much. Another round of applause. Ladies and gentlemen, we have moved at least far on our program, and we're just left with one thing today evening here at the university, and we shall move on later to another location. Allow me guide you on what is going to happen immediately after here. We are going to have a coffee break. That is going to be 30 minutes only. Then immediately after that, we shall go in for our fourth parallel sessions that are happening in the breakout sessions, in the breakout rooms. Then later at exactly 6, we shall all converge and travel to Ndere Culture Center. The buses, the electric buses are ready, they are set. So we make sure that we keep time so that we also reach the center on time for the culture dinner we are going to have. So these are the rooms for the different parallel sessions. Parallel session 4.1, chaired by Professor Bruce Chiraga. It will happen here in the main auditorium. Parallel session 4.2. This is going to be chaired by Dr. Kathy Mbide, and this has been shifted from council room to senior common room 1. Please note that the session in council room has been shifted to senior common room 1. The session that has been in senior common room 1, that is parallel session 4.5, chaired by Mr. Samuel Mugabe, has then been shifted to council room. Parallel session 4.3, chaired by Professor David. It's going to happen in the Vice Chancellor's boardroom. Parallel session 4.4, chaired by Dr. Arthur Tugume. It's going to happen in the Senior Common Room, in the Senior Common Room 1. And then the special session, chaired by Dr. Joy. It's going to happen in Seminar Room 02. Ladies and gentlemen, let's meet at the coffee break. Thank you so much.